Dearest Indian friends, greetings from Bell'Italia 88 and welcome back. I am Caterina Brazzi Castracane. I am an historian, and today, in collaboration with the Italian Cultural Center in New Delhi, I am here to share with you our second appointment dedicated to the city of Naples. Actually, today I choose, as you can see, with this presentation, to dedicate this conference to the south part of the region that we called Campania, the part of the Bay of Naples and the Amalfi Coast, two of the most popular holiday places that you well known in Italy. First of all, we have to say that to do our itinerary, we will use, first of all, the train, and in particular, a regional network of lines running out of Naples to the east of the city around the Mount Vesuvius. This is the reason why this train is called Circumvesuviana. That just means around the Vesuvio. Starting from Naples, we will arrive in Sorrento, and during our itinerary we will discover different kind of peculiar places that are situated in this part of the region. In particular, we will see and we will talk about three great Roman ruins sites. When we will arrive in Sorrento, we can take together a ferry boat to go on to Positano, and from Positano to discover the other part of this peninsula Sorrentina, that is called Costiera Amalfitana, Amalfi Coast, the coast related with the small town of Amalfi. We have to say that there is a king of place, a genius loci, as we can say in Latin, and its name is the Mount Vesuvius. Maybe he is the well-known volcanoes in the world, and is also a symbol of Naples with his unique shape. Our history is related with a peculiar year, 79 AD, the year of the huge eruption of these volcanoes. Because of his present and because of the history that is related with the eruption of the 79 AD, we can talk about the Bay of Naples as an archaeological bay. Even because for centuries, three of the more important archaeological sites in the world, Herculaneum, Pompeii and Oplonti, were buried beneath meters of volcanic debris. In this case, we will discover, first of all, the small town of Herculaneum. That is one of the heritage listed by UNESCO as Heritage of Humanity. The city of Herculaneum was, according to legend, related with the figure of the Greek hero Hercules, who decided to build the new city returning from a trip in Spain. Actually, according to the historians, we know that Herculaneum was founded by Etruscans, maybe with the same destiny of the other important city of this area, Pompeii. We will talk about Pompeii later. This small city was a paradise for the Roman nobility. You have to imagine a sort of holiday place that have the perfect characteristical aspect of a place for a holiday, the good weather and such food, that was the ideal place where the Roman nobility could choose to spend one part of the year. The small city died during the one day that is one of the last day of the history, the 24th of August 79 AD. That is the day of the huge eruption. Just in 24 hours, all the city that we are now discovering was destroyed by the violent power of these volcanoes. And we can talk about the 24th of August of that year as the day of the end of the Roman history of the south of Italy. We lost any traces of this city for the next century after the 79 AD. And just during the 18th centuries, the King Charles of Bourbon decided to begin the first proper excavation. From that time, we have discovered one of the most important and perfect Roman city of the first century AD. We have to say that Romans used to build a city around a perfect plain, a cross, that was composed by two main streets, the Cardo and the Cumano. This is the Cardo and this is the Cumano. You can see on the different map that the city was composed around the third part of this cross, and all downtown was surrounded by different doors that Romans used as way to go out and in. In this case, we find 4 different doors that are still today the more important doors of the urban downtown. As you can see in this map, this is a map of the sites. This is the Great Cardo, And this is the main important decumano. And you can see around the cross, the doors, the most important of them is called Porta Marina. In this case, the perfect plan of the city of Herculaneum let us imagine the peculiarities of the city. What I'm trying to say to you is that the city of Herculaneum was exactly as a modern town, with downtown, the part of the city related with workshop and different kind of apartment, and the part of the city that we call suburbana, after the wall or around the world, that was full of another kind of house, the villas. First of all, in this slide, you can see the street, one of the street of downtown, as you can recognize it today. And this is an imagine with a reconstruction of which should be the perfect aspect of the same street during the Roman period. On the slide, the next slide, you can see the other perfect sort of house that you should find in Herculaneum, but as we will see later, also in Pompeii. This is the drawing and the reconstruction of the Domus Romana, the house that was used just by the nobility, not by the poor people. And in this case, you can notice that Herculaneum was one rich place of our south, because the archaeologists found a lot of different ruins of villas. The most important of them was called the Villa Papiri, and was a villa located northwest of the town, full of rooms and also terrace gardens. The villa takes its name after the papyri that were discovered inside the ruins during the first excavation. A treasure trove of 1785 papyrus that were written in Greek. And the papyrus were the first prototype of the book, and now they are housed inside the National Library of Naples. And this is the reason why we call this kind of huge villa after the name of the protagonist of its library. The interesting aspect of the fame of this villa in the world is that one of the most important collectionists of art, Paul Getty, decided in 1954 to realize a copy of the Roman Villa of the Papyri in Malibu to house his collection of masterpieces. The villa is still used today as the Getty Museum in Malibu. The last reason that we had to recognize, to understand the importance of the ruins of Herculaneum is that some years ago the archaeologists found 300 skeletons of people that died were trying to escape the chaos and the situation of the eruption. The skeletons were found in this part of the city, hidden inside those arches, and this part of the city was the old harbor of Herculaneum. You have to imagine that in this area you had seen the sea that was a little bit more close to the city than today. The second and maybe the most important archaeological site in the world, but the second city we are talking about is Pompeii. That is maybe one of the city that you have to discover just spending a lot of time walking through the ghostly ruins of that city that is a sort of eternal piece of history just posed in the south part of Naples. Pompeii was a prosperous trade center. You have to imagine a port, an harbor, and a town that was one of the most important cities of our south, that was remarkable and noticed because of the production of all the good such that you still today notice as the such food of the Italian cuisine. Olive oil, onion, wine, almonds, cherries, apricots, a sort of paradise of flavor. But Pompeii was also a different and more complex kind of city than Herculano. As you can see in this map, you can see that the perfect line that we see on the map of Herculaneum are a little bit different in this case. And also you can notice that around the wall you don't find just 4 doors as you had seen in the case of Herculaneum, but 8 different doors that surrounded the original wall, that were built in the perfect material of the architectural aspect of the Romans, that was the travertino. But also Pompeii was a real city, full of all the amenities that you can imagine still today are the characteristical aspect of a huge and important city related with an important community that was prosperous and rich. Also in Pompeii you can find the archetypical villas that were realized by Romans. In this case, you can see the peculiar part of the villas. First of all, the entrance that was called fauces, that was just a small door on the street, and just passing through this door, you have to enter inside the central part of the villa that was related with the impluvium, a sort of pool just used to house the rain, the peristylium, that was the garden with the columns and pilasters around the central part, the cubicula that were just the sleeping room of the house, and at least the triclinium. The triclinium was the most important room of this house, was the dining room, and you can recognize this kind of room just seeing the decoration on the wall, and most of the times also on the ceiling of the rooms. The peculiarities that you can find in Pompeii when we are talking about the artistical characterized of this city are two. First of all, the floor mosaics that are well known all around the world. First of all, in this case, this mosaic dedicated to the idea to beware of the dog, that is called, as you can see in Latin, cave canem, that is maybe the most representative mosaic of that time. But in the second time, we have to talk about the magnificence wall paintings, the frescoes. In Pompeii, and during the history of Pompeii, we find 4 different kind of frescoes that we have divided into 4 different styles that just take the name after the numeration: style 1, style 2, style 3, and style 4. The last one is the 4th style of frescoes, and this kind of decoration were used to decorate all the wall of the triclinium and also of the other space of the villas. Maybe the most important example of villa with the huge painting walls decoration is Oplontis. That is the 3rd stop of our itinerary. That is maybe the most important example of villa that archaeologists found in the south part of the region Campania, and the villa was named after the second wife of the Emperor Nero, Poppaea. In this case, you have to imagine an expansive resort, something that is quite difficult to think that was true, but a sort of villa with 60 rooms and 99 different space, including gardens, when you just pool and all that you can imagine should be present inside one of the most important place of the region. And this is the reason why the huge decoration on the wall that archaeologists found is so peculiar and related with the real aspect of nature, as you can see in this case with the bird, but also with some specific decoration related with the important and such food that the guest used to eat during the great parties that the family of Poppaea used to organize inside the villa. This is more tangible if you see, and in this case you can see better, if you see on one of the wall of the triclinium the first representation of one of the most important dessert in the Italian cuisine that is called cassata. And the cassata is something that is impossible not to eat when you discover the perfect food of our south. In this case, the line and the fresco is so touchable that you can think that is true and is something that is just prepared for you, that is posed on the wall of the first triclinium in the villa of Oplontis. At this time, we can go on with our itinerary on the same line of the Circumvesuviana train, and we discover together the small town of Vico Equense that is named after the presence of the ninth. Equense just means related with nines that used to live in this village during the medieval age, and is today quite seaside town. But the reason why I want to share with you the history of Vico Equense is that is the perfect city just dedicated to the pizza. Not just because you can eat pizza in the great restaurant that realized the pizza sold by meter, but also because since 2006 in Vico Equense you find the University of Pizza, a normal kind of university that every year organized classes for chefs to teach them which is the best way to realize pizza. This is the reason why after Naples you have to go to Vico Equense to prove and taste the amazing and marvelous kind of pizza. One matter of pizza is something that is could eat by one family, 4 or 5 persons. After Vico Equense, we can discover Sorrento, maybe one of the well-known city of the peninsula Sorrentina that is named after the name of this city. Actually, we have to say that Sorrento was the birthplace of Torquato Tasso, one of the father of the Italian literature, and maybe this is one of the reasons why during the modern age a lot of important writers decided to spend some time in Sorrento, looking for different kind of inspiration for their books and to create other masterpieces of the European literature. In particular, Sorrento is called the city of writers, and since the 18th centuries, the great names of European literature as Goethe, Byron, Keats, Dickens decide to leave for some part of the year while they were discovering Italy during the Grand Tour in Sorrento, and in particular in one small hotel that was called Hotel des Artistes, that after a huge renovation is now reopens to house people that want to discover Sorrento from the same room and maybe from the same point of view of this generation of writers and artists. From Sorrento, we will discover Positano, and as I said to you before, we will discover Positano just going to Positano with a ferry boat. But before leaving this city, we can discover the Marina Vecchia. That is a sort of small harbor in front of the seaside, where you can stop hearing the chaos and the rumors and also the people that you can imagine just spend a lot of time during the holidays time in downtown in Sorrento, but you can stop all these chaos around you, just enjoying the seaside and also the perfect food and the wonderful food that is served inside the important small restaurants that you have to imagine are, as you can see in this picture, situated in front of the sea. After you have seen Marina Grande, you can take the ferry boat from the other harbor of Sorrento, that is Marina Piccola, and discover Positano. That is maybe the Amalfi Coast postcard, something that is unimaginable if you don't go to see that what you maybe have noticed on the postcard is the same of the vision that you find when you see the first time in your life Positano. And Positano is a small village, but it's full of history and also full of fashion details. During the 20th century, Positano was called the small town of fashion, as Milano choose to be today, and this is the reason why Still today, you can passing through downtown, discovering all the original workshop where you can buy the perfect Italian sandals that are maybe the most remarkable item of this part of the south. But also, Positano is a small town full in a small place of history. This is the reason why I choose to share with you the last discovery that the archaeologist made in Positano, that is a Villa Romana that is situated under the floor of the Dome of Positano, la chiesa di Santa Maria Assunta. In this case, you can see the part of the oratory related with the church. Here you have to imagine that there was the original floor, now there is a staircase, and under the floor the archaeologists found the perfect decorated wall of one villa that was one of the villa of Ozium. I mean the villas used by Romans just for holidays. In this case, you have to notice that the colors that still today are the most important part of the frescoes are amazing. Even because with perfect and hard work, the archaeologists made a huge renovation of this room, trying to recreate the perfect atmosphere of the Roman time. Now, this part of Positano is related with a new museum that is called MAR, the Archaeological Roman Museum, and with just one ticket you can discover the triclinum and the part of the Villa Romana, but also the other part of the church and the oratory that was built during the 13th century. After Positano, we can discover together maybe the hidden pearl of the Amalfi Coast, Ravello. That is the peculiar town of the coast, because it's divided between the mountains and the sea, and that is still today noticed as the city of music, because every year in Ravello the municipality organizes one of the most important music festivals of Italy. In Ravello we find together two examples of villas, but not as we have already seen together the example of the Roman villas, but in this case two examples of residents that were built during the modern age, Villa Ruffolo and Villa Cimbrone. Villa Ruffolo is an amazing and monumental complex of cittadella that bears the name of the family which built it during the first part of the 13th century. As you can see, this villa was called as the villa that had more rooms than there are days in the year. And you have to imagine with this expression that we are talking about a huge sort of palace. In particular, the complex architectural style that was used to realize this kind of palace is a blend of different kinds of styles. The Roman one, the Sicilian one, the Arabic one, and also the Norman one. At the end of the 18th century, the family decided to transform also the garden that still today has the peculiar aspect of a romantic garden. This is the reason why the important composer and musician Richard Wagner, who spent part of his grand tour in Ravello, arrived to see the garden of Villa Ruffolo and decided that the garden of Glingsor, that we best known because of the second act of the masterpiece of Parsifal, should be the same garden of this villa. In this picture you see the words that are still written on the wall of the tower in the middle of the garden that just remember us that Wagner decided to realize the garden of his Parsifal just seeing the amazing atmosphere of this garden that today has this aspect and form. But also Villa Cimbrone has an important history. Its history is related in particular with a nobleman, a British nobleman, who decided to transform the villa in the early 20th century in a sort of British archetypical villa in the south, in front of the Mediterranean Sea. And even if today the villa is used as a five-star hotel, we can see the garden, because the garden are the public area of the villa, and we can discover together the myth and the atmosphere that used to be so important for a lot of important guests of the 20th century. In particular, this villa was noticed by the important writer Virginia Woolf, but also by the Prime Minister Winston Churchill, the economist Maynard Keynes, the artist Salvador Dalí, also the actress Greta Garbo, and a lot of other important names of our cultural history are related with Villa Cimbrone. Now the garden are something that is quite similar with the idea of the paradise, and in particular at the top of the garden you find these breathtaking terrace dedicated to the infinity. That is the most remarkable example of terrace dedicated to the heaven, and with the idea and the aim to let that the people who pass through this terrace could feel something that is not so normal during the daily life, something that is related with culture, passion, and also with the sense of life. The last stop of our journey is Amalfi, maybe the most important town of the coast. This is the reason why the coast is named after this town. In particular is the city full of different kind of artistical styles that were used to create an international small town. You have to imagine that during the last part of the medieval age, Amalfi was one of the most important harbor of Italy, with the same importance of Genova or Naples. But actually, what I want to share with you is a small village, maybe for some the smallest village of Italy, that is called Atrani, that is just far 10 minutes walking from Amalfi. That is a sort of boat that is on the top of the coast, and from which you can see the sea and the horizon in front of you, as you used to be a sailor. And the reason why I want to share with you some information about Atrani is also because during the first part of the 20th century, one of the most important contemporary artists, Cornelius Escher, decided to spend some time in Atrani and also to realize a lot of different kind of lithography about the representation of this village. In this case, you can see the picture with the real representation of the small town, and in the lower part of the slide, one of the representation of Atrani that were signed by Escher. In this case, is part of one huge masterpiece called Metamorphosi, and you can see that the village is part of a full representation of something that is quickly development and transforming in something else. This is the meaning of metamorphosis, change, movement. At this point, it's just time to relax, and you have to remember that the synonymous of relax in this part of Italy is linked with the lemon liquor that is called limoncello. You can enjoy it after lunch or dinner. Is still today one part of our food heritage, and is also something that you can not imagine if you don't taste it fresh, just discovering and spend your relaxing time inside one of the piazzette that are the small square of this small village, and where you can just relax yourself, enjoying one of the most important aspects of enjoying your life. At this point, I have to say to you goodbye, so I stop sharing my video, and I hope to see you again to discover and share together other parts of Italy. See you the next time. Bye bye.